This is Inside Outlands. I'm your host, Nat Ryle, and joining me today is Jack Churchill, or Derek. I don't know which name you want to go by. Guild leader of the Beard Brothers.
Hey, yeah, no, Jack Churchill works. That's my main character that I've been playing. Although I seem to go back and forth between about 10 different characters. So either one works.
Yeah, I met you, seems like forever ago now. I don't know how long, 5-6 months ago. And you were playing Derek. And I called you that all the time. And now it seems like most people just call you Jack.
Yeah, that was back in November when I started on Outlands. I missed the fun of server launch. But I started off with Derek, and here I am. Jack Churchill, Stealth Archer, GM of BB.
Well, let's just start right there, man. Well, what brought you to Outlands? And then, follow up to that. What's kept you here so long?
So what happened is I was browsing Reddit, and I'm not terribly active on Reddit, and I'm searching different things. I'm like, hey, I wonder if there's anything about Ultima Online. I haven't played that since 02. So I looked and saw a post about Outlands. I go, well, that looks interesting. So I looked it up, downloaded it, and, it's kind of sucked me into my life.
Yeah, it's, if you're a guild leader, it's probably like 80% of your life. I don't envy your position at all.
No, that wasn't even on purpose. That was a whole fun story I'm sure we're going to talk about here in a few minutes. But yeah, no, it's interesting waking up to between 50 and 100 notifications on your phone from Discord about all sorts of stuff. It's wonderful.
So you said you started 02. What were your UO experiences before that? Was it all OSI, or do you have any like private shard past history?
So I actually started in 96, 97 with beta. My dad got into the beta when I was 12, 13 years old. Said, hey, this looks like a fun game. Why don't you come play with me? And so I was a miner in Minok and got PK'd about every other hour. I finally managed to save up enough ingots to make myself a suit of armor, went out, was promptly killed by, I think it was a black bear or a grizzly bear. And so then when OSI went live, I was on Chesapeake. Well, I started on Catskills, never got established, got on Chesapeake, and someone gave me a full spell book. 64 spells, brand new character. I was like, oh, looks like I'm going to be a mage.
Yeah. So that was 97, you said?
Yeah, that was right at launch. And once I started that, I was a mace tank mage back 97, 98, 99. I'd go back and forth between mace and archery every so often, depending on what I was after. I ran with a guild, Iron Brigade. If you go to Chesapeake and Scarab Bray, there's actually a memorial to the guild master, High Lord Kruger. He died on a boating accident in Lake Erie. And a whole big in-game funeral, the GMs or counselors or whatever they were called put up a memorial for him. And every once in a while, I'll actually log into OSI just to go check it out.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I didn't know there was anything like that in the game.
Yeah, I'll have to install OSI and go take a screenshot for this.
Well, now it's free to play too, so you actually could do it without even having to sub.
Yeah, I'd probably do that. But I played OSI from 97 till about 02. I, became 17 years old. Found things that were a bit more interesting than a game, namely girls. Wasn't very good at that either, but it is what it is.
Yeah, I'm not good at it either. I've suckered 2 women into marrying me. I don't know why.
Yeah, well, I was very bad at it, but I ended up selling the accounts. My dad and we had 2 accounts, ended up splitting it with him, and I think we both ended up with about $1,000 each, because we had 4 houses. I had 1 on Drachenfels, 3 on Chesapeake because 2 were pre-patch. 1 was right outside East Britain Bank on Felucia. I had a sandstone somewhere in a log cabin somewhere. I don't remember exactly. Last thing I did before I quit was I was on Siege Perilous. I was in a PK guild there because everybody PK'd there because it didn't really matter. Got tired of that, made an orc. Got tired of that, played with a undead guild that was allied with the orcs because I was tired of running around on a foot. And eventually I just quit. And then I haven't even touched UO until November of last year.
Yeah, that's interesting. I think you might be the first guest that I've had say that. I think everyone else is really kind of, at least some past Private Shard has drawn their interest. So it's curious. Why do you think Outlands peaked it? Was it just timing, or is it something they were doing different?
A lot of it was timing. My kids, they're 8 and about to turn 7, so they're able to entertain themselves, don't need to be watched over every single minute of every single day. So I felt that I could actually, play a game for once. It's been a lot of single player games, a lot of Paradox Interactive games, Civ, games like that. And eventually I was like, you know what, let's give it a shot.
Yeah, I think I saw it maybe 8 months before launch, and it immediately got my interest with all the drastic changes they were making to the game. I don't know why that interests me because I don't have any OSI experience. But anytime anyone takes a game and just makes it their own, I'm always drawn to the project. I've done this with like Darkfall and I think Shadowbane one time. So those projects have never kept me quite like Outlands has. So, here I came and started playing with you guys. So, Beard Brothers, why pick the Beard Brothers? You had all the guilds in the world. So 6 months ago, why'd you pick BB?
Well, they reminded me of my old guild on Chesapeake. Good guys that'll fight back, and I wasn't after the PK Red style game. I did that on Chesapeake a little bit. I did that a lot on Siege Perilous. I wasn't really into that, Plus, we're all adults. We're all older. No one wants to go out and spend an hour doing something just to have some guy come along and kill him and take everything. I don't want to be that guy either.
So it's just their mentality for how they were tackling the game?
Yeah, it seemed like it was a group of, brothers or friends. It was chill, calm, relaxed. And I didn't watch any of Papa Carl's streams until I was actually in them. So I didn't know that. I don't even watch streams really. It's not something that interests me. So I don't know. It just seemed like the right group.
Yeah, my answer to this question is a weird one because I always go to a PvP group. I don't typically PvP myself. In games like Darkfall, I made everyone their staffs and I did stuff like that. I would, Eve, I would do the mining ops while being in the big PvP group. But I usually was always in a group that really focused on it. So I don't know why I did it here in Outlands. I think it was I was just so nervous about the client and the old game style and having no experience with it. I just figured I would join a group that just focused on relaxed gameplay, hanging out, and doing PVM stuff. And that's where I started with it. So, cause I would normally go to a guild that just has a big PvP leg in the game. I've done it everywhere I've gone. Eve, Darkfall. It ended up being a pretty good decision, I think, because we've definitely grown as a guild, and even in the early stages, we were doing a lot of things only because we worked together. And you don't see that a lot of places. I know other guilds and UO do that, but definitely in Bearded Brothers, there's a brotherhood mentality, and I've appreciated it since day one. And I think it ended up being the right decision, at least for me.
Yeah, I think the very first time I went out with the Beards, it was to Ossuary. Maybe it was Aegis, I don't remember. And I had like 60 or 70 skills and everything, and Carl was like, "Yep, let's go." I can't barely hit anything. Who cares? Let's do it. And that was pretty awesome, the inclusion. And I've tried to keep that going as best I can, working fairly well.
The older the game gets, the longer we're here, the harder that mentality is to maintain. But that's definitely a big part of Beard Brothers is inclusive. You join us, you get to hang out with us and do all the content with us, and that can be good or bad. There's some ups and downs with taking a new guy deep into the shit. He doesn't know anything, but there's also trial by fire, I guess.
Oh, for sure. I think I remember one of our very first Cav runs after I had taken over from Carl, and the guy was in there and he had, I think, like 70 HP, maybe 60, was getting one shot by everything. And it's hard not to laugh. And I felt bad for the guy because he really just wanted to play with the group. And I'm like, why don't you go and get 100 strength at a minimum? But, that's part of the fun.
Yeah, for sure. So let's talk about this transition from Papa Carl to you, because I did interview Papa Carl. He was definitely a big part of the early days of this podcast. We simultaneously streamed with him. I mean, at one point he was maybe going to co-host with me. He's one of my really good friends here in UO, and he had some real life responsibilities. Some other real life issues that came up, and he had to leave UO, and it left our guild with a very vacant leadership. And I think this is pretty common across guilds led by streamers. Their personality carries and pushes the guild forward. We just interviewed we interviewed Hero and Akasha, and once Akasha left, even temporarily for a couple of weeks, Hero quickly started collapsing, and then he didn't have the desire to keep doing what he was doing to have it be a thriving guild. So once Papa Carl stepped away from the game, really other than him, there was me doing things, but I'm very noobish, and so I wasn't equipped to deal with 300 players. The other leaders we had, well, great guys, they're also not. They're not, in your face leaders either. They definitely didn't pick that job. That was Papa Carl's thing to do that job. So I think we were faced with kind of a crisis, really. Do we keep going and just let it fizzle out on its own without things happening? And instead of doing that, I think I sat down with our key active member base there. You were definitely one of those guys, and we all kind of sat down and talked with, what do y'all want to do? What are our options? Where do you want to go from here? I basically interviewed 4 of you, although really it was kind of yours to have or take, because it's a lot to take on, and you were really the only one willing to, for some reason, step into that role. So do you have anything to add to all of this?
Yeah, so I don't know why I accepted sometimes, because it is a lot of responsibility. And I mean, I already work about 60 hours a week for my regular job. Sometimes it'll be a lot more. I know for the month of half of March and half of April, I was gone the entire time. So it's different trying to be, I've got my family at home, I've got my work, and then I've got the game, and all of them are competing. And I'm not going to say that I'm always choosing the right one to focus on, but I try my best to let the game come third. Sorry, that's just how it is. And as far as the transition goes, there was a pretty significant group that were like, okay, are we going to do anything, or what's going on? I know we had a few members leave for other guilds. HKDS, EQMS, LOD. I think a few went to Rect, and I don't blame them at all. There was nothing going on. Things were stagnant. Leadership was missing, or just not the vocal, active leadership. Like you said, Carl was the face of the guild. So when we went to transition away from Carl to me, I wanted to make sure that if once it was done, any officers I had would be the vocal type, and I think I've chosen fairly well. Everyone seems to be fairly happy with everything.
Yeah, you can't be there nonstop. So I think transitioning to the same style of guild, which was a one-man show, which I don't think that was really his intention. It's just his personality was so great. That's just kind of how it was, and he picked leaders that he had kind of known in the past. Whereas I think we built our next core group of just guys that had really shown their dedication not only to the guild, but were active, had experience, had a willingness to interact with our community and grow it. And this is probably all going down in January, I think, maybe some of February.
A little bit in December too.
Yeah, I want to say towards the end of December, because he did do a guild run, I think, in the very end of December. And a couple weeks in, I wanted to at least promote brand new officers, and then end up being this transition. Reason why I think I wanted to do this podcast mainly was to highlight how you go from a guild that, for all intents and purposes, probably should have died, and instead it's grown over the last 5 or 6 months into. I think we've definitely surpassed our peak then, which is probably mid-December or something like that, to where we are today. A lot of that's our player base, but there's a lot more that goes into it.
I'd say a lot more has changed than. It's hard to say peaks because it seems to be different styles of play. As I've described it, Carl was very lawful good. I'm definitely more of the lawful chaotic in that, I've got characters that have counts. I'm okay with that. I'm going to take counts to defend my fellow guildmates and do what we can do to keep people happy and keep people safe. And if that means killing a blue that's trying to wall people in, well, I'm going to do that. I don't know if Carl was that way. I didn't know him well enough. So that's like one of the biggest change is the focus has changed. I don't know if we'd have been as heavy into the boss scene and going hard after different bosses every night, and it's tiring, but we do it, and not everyone makes every night. I know I don't, and that's okay. We've got a large group that can do it, and we've got a lot of officers that help lead it.
Yeah, officers like me that I couldn't lead shit, but I'm in the background doing any admin work I can, handling our loot, stuff like that. You have guys that are definitely in our leadership better at PvP, handling that. And we got several that are fully capable to lead our PVM content. That's definitely a big change. You're not depending on just yourself. You got a good leadership core. And we picked up a lot of new players since then too. I think we've definitely grown. We've had a huge turnover, which I think every guild here in Outlands has, from just people that burn out at launch to people just finding out about the shard, and even people returning. We got Lando back recently. We got McGregor back recently, and Duck, a bunch of guys returning, which is cool to see. And that'll keep happening, I think, throughout Outlands.
Oh, for sure. I don't think this type of game is going to hold their attention for, years on end like WoW has, or, even OSI, people didn't stay for years upon years normally. You don't have that treadmill to go to the next level. Owen and Expo and Luthien and all them have tried really well to have that treadmill experience with the aspects and the chains now. But it's hard without having an expansion every year where the level cap goes up by 10 and I've got to get all new gear and everything like WoW has. because I played WoW for years, way too many years. And it's a completely different style. And eventually people are going to feel like they've peaked. And it's like, well, what do I do now? Do I go kill another demon for 4 hours? Do I go farm Pulma for 12 hours and try and get Legendary Guardian of Pulma or whatever the title is?
Well, they have to add more sandbox content. They have to use the EVE Online model, which is just keep giving the players new tools. And if the PVM patch was all about giving us more treadmill, then this upcoming Siege PvP patch, if you will, is giving us more sandbox tools.
I'm very interested to see that the Siege patch. It's going to be interesting because we're a PVM guild. We have some PvPers. We have some PvP chops. But we're not a primary PvP guild, and I don't want anyone to ever think that, because that's just not us.
Yeah, and when we try, we're usually pretty bad at it.
I just remember, I think it was blacklisted at Inferno, Maine. There was 20 of us. The guy he thought it was a command core. Thankfully, it was just a poison core. And 20 of us couldn't get him. And, you just got to laugh.
Yeah, well, I mean, we decided we weren't going to attack him because he was blue, and we're typically the good guys. Like, we're not going to attack you right away. I don't even remember if this is a summoned boss or not. We gave him the benefit of the doubt.
It was summoned Inferno.
Yeah, we gave the benefit of the doubt until proven otherwise, which is probably our first mistake. But it is what it is.
We're going to keep making that mistake. I'll tell you that. And I told him, I DM'd him afterwards, and I said, hey, you helped with the boss. You could have just asked and we'd have given you something. You didn't have to go gray stealing it. Whatever, it's a core. Okay, great. Congratulations.
Yeah, then it was definitely, the call was made to kill him, but he still got through our very bad BB wall, which is not as heavily organized as an orc wall. They do that much better than we do. Where you got
our wall looked like an offensive line for a Pro Bowl running back. I could have run through that hole.
Yeah, he did get past 20 dudes and out the room, and then got chased. I think he for sure got away, even dropping like another. I think one of our guys got killed by mobs chasing him or something. But
one or two, yeah, it was a very prototypical BP experience, and it is what it is. We had fun. We've also had times where I think it was anarchies come in and we drop 2 or 3 of them and then the rest of them run, and that's cool. I mean, good for them for going 5 on 20. Good props. I'm not going to do that. I'm very risk adverse. It just comes from my nature, where I work and everything.
Yeah, we're definitely defensive in nature. We're going to respond to attacks on us. We'll respond to our bosses getting raided. We'll respond to our PVMers getting attacked or anyone messing with us. But you're not going to see us out there trying to hunt out the PvP content for that content's sake. Other guilds do that much better than us. Whereas we're more about tackling whatever content the game has to throw our way. And then because it's a sandbox game, that does require defensive PvP. And anyone that thinks otherwise is kidding themselves. And I know Akasha went through this with Hero and the server screaming, oh, you're not anti-PK because you're killing me. But these things are unavoidable. If we're going to do in-game content or do really any of this content outside of, I mean,
we could go farm newbie dungeon for hours on end and make 20 gold off a net and then eventually have enough to buy a 50K house but that's not fun. I will clarify, we do have the occasional member who does go out hunting. It is what it is. I'm not going to stop them because they're getting themselves into the mess. But it brings up like my favorite messages I get. Hey, BB killed me. Okay, what was going on? Well, I'd stolen their Paragon chest. Okay, so what you're telling me is you deserve to die.
Yeah, or I got one just last week. BB killed me. Oh, what happened? Well, we were attacking their treasure map. Okay, well, I can end this conversation.
Yeah, exactly. Then we get sometimes, hey, one of BB's attacking me. Okay, what's going on? Well, I'm trying to tame, and he keeps attacking me and going gray and trying to kill me, so we brought reds and killed him. Okay, why is he attacking you? Well, he's saying he wants to burn passives here. You don't burn passives on frickin' sand crabs or whatever crabs they were. And then ended up booting him when he came and dropped a bunch of poison mobs on the guy. It's a bunch of poison tames. No place for that. We're not going to play that game. So he got removed and 2 of his friends left with him. Whatever. It is what it is.
It's a weird line. We're the White Knights, although not always. And
Gray Knights.
Yeah, and where's the line drawn? It's kind of situation to situation, but almost 100% of the time we're not the aggressors.
It's probably closer to about 90 to 95% right now.
So it's the same thing Akasha said. Like once you've proven that your guild is going to play by different rules, and we're going to play with the same rules. We'll give you the benefit of the doubt 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times, and then enough is enough. And then your guild isn't on that list anymore, and you may have stuff happen where
I take a count or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or 7 or 8.
Yeah, and then that's when we hear on Discord, BB is not what it used to be, yada yada yada. But it's still the same spirit it was back then. We were defensive then, we're defensive now. Just the shard is 6 months older. The content's harder. Like we can't operate the same way.
Oh, for sure. And end of the day, we're gonna outside of bosses, we typically leave people alone. I know I've farmed right next to a red for hours, just he's sitting there sniping, and it was like the blood sorcerers in Aegis. He was a stealth Dexxer. I'm stealth archer. I'm sniping other things. He's sniping things. We were right next to each other for hours. Who cares? He's there to level play. Maybe he's red from defense. Maybe he's red from other things. I don't care.
Yeah, I must have been month 2. I went gray in ossuary, and the guy said, "Hey, you went gray. Come over here. Let's hide in this corner and work off your timer." And he didn't drop me right away. It's that kind of stuff that you'll get. The Beard Brothers will do for you.
One of the first days I was on the server, I was out killing brigands or something, and the guy's throwing purple pots and dropping flame fields, and I'm like, hey, people could run right through it. And I showed him. I ran right through it. Hey, look, you're gray. Now I could kill you, and there's going to be no consequence to me, and I can take everything. And he's like, oh, well, thanks. I didn't know about that, because we've got a lot of brand new people to UO here. I'm shocked at how many brand new to UO, never heard of this game, are on Outlands. I don't understand. It's a 22-year-old wizard game. It's great.
I think I've tried to detail in this podcast why that is, but it's still hard to explain. I don't really fully understand it myself.
I mean, my son has come over and seen me playing. He's like, "Wow, those graphics are awful. Minecraft is better." Yeah, okay, little jerk, go mine yourself. Why don't you mine for me? I need ingots.
Yeah. I've taught kids how to mine for me in the past. They have no interest in UO though.
Yeah, see, that was the nice thing about WoW. My wife loved going around mining, and she funded my raiding. It was awesome.
Yeah, our Arcade. I got my wife to play Arcade with me, and she was farming and doing PvM with me and stuff. But yeah, she's got no interest in UO. So, what are some of the struggles that have come with just being a guild leader of such a large group, besides some of the stuff we've already highlighted?
Well, the biggest struggle is you've got, anywhere from 20 to 40 people on any given night that you're trying to align to a single cause, and if they even want to, and you've got to figure out, okay, do we go do this? Do we do this? What are we going to do tonight? And they're all looking to you to say, hey, let's go do this. And I'm like, I just want to go mine or go farm. And you got to just get over it and go out and do whatever to keep the guild running and keep everybody happy. That's one of my biggest struggles.
Yeah, if you don't do it, who else will? And then you're a collection of solo players. which doesn't do the guild any good.
Well, that's okay too. I think there's a couple guilds on the server that are, solo guilds, join for the prestige gains, and if we get somewhere, we get somewhere. And hey, everyone plays differently. That's great. One of our most well-known members was a highly solo player, Stormy Daniels. He was a solo player, and that's great. That's his style. It's just, that's one of the big struggles. Luckily, over this weekend, my internet took a fritz, and I was able to take a break. Kind of a forced break, but it is what it is. And I still had officers running bosses all the time because I could see everything on my phone with Discord, because I'm one of those addicts that has Discord on their phone.
Yeah, I know. I finally, I did the same thing. I struggle between balancing the game and family and work. And I had to make a concerted effort to no longer pick up my phone while conversating with my wife. Like, I'll have to check Discord and be a Discord fanatic, at work or when I'm gaming. But when I spend time with my wife, like, I got to put the phone down.
See, I just take cues from my wife. If she's on her phone, I get on mine. But if she's not on hers, I try really hard to put it away.
Yeah, it's always a balance with what I can get away with. But you're not wrong, because me and you have about the same playtime, which is going to be later in the evening after most of the family has wound down, and it's a limited amount of playtime. There's not a lot. And do you spend that playing the new single player game you've been looking forward to? Do you go do the thing you're after on your aspect gear or your crafter, or do you hop in comms and try to get people out doing stuff?
Yeah, and I've really slacked on focusing on single player games and other such. I bought the new expansion for Civ 6, and I think I've put maybe 10 hours into it, and it's fun. I enjoy it, but I hop on and I come into this game.
I think my bane are anything Dark Souls and Dark Souls likes, and I bought Sekiro Shadows Dice twice for $60 the day it came out, and I am fresh out of the tutorial. I came out like 3 months ago. So
nice. Yeah, and then you do this podcast on top of it, and you do your orc stuff and everything else. You're just as bad as I am.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, the kids go to bed at 8. I get on around 9 after the wife's asleep, and then I shortchange myself sleep on the back end, and then I go to work with 4 hours of sleep and do what I do.
So I would say Beard Brothers are usually considered one of the more newbie friendly guilds. What advice do you have for a new player here on Outlands that's trying to get their foothold?
Well, try and seek out the best way to make your starting gold. First thing you should buy is a Blessed Rune book. It's going to be about $65K. It seems like a lot. It's going to make your life about 1 million times.
Yeah, I put that shit off for 6 months.
Yeah,
I got my first rune book like 3 weeks ago. What the hell is wrong with me?
I think I talked to you about that a couple times. I've got 3 or 4 now myself because I'm too lazy to switch between characters.
I was really stubborn. I really, really love the map and the world. And I really enjoy running around all of it, which is amusing because I still don't know half the dungeons. You guys are always like, waiting on me to get to some boss room or something.
Oh, no. The first thing I did, I made a parry Dexxer, got him up to 70 in newbie dungeon. Then I went and ran the world. I went everywhere. I died everywhere. I lost gear everywhere, but I learned. And then I went into dungeons and said, "Ooh, I don't like this." Then I read about lockpicking and stealth picking. I'm like, well, I like playing stealth characters. So I made a stealth picker, and that's how I learned the dungeons. I went over every square of each dungeon stealth picking, and that's how I learned the dungeons.
Yeah, I should do that. I tend to pick a dungeon, and that's all I go to for weeks and weeks. I think it was Cavernum and then Darkmire lately, and before there was Aegis. So I know 3 of the 8.
And I've learned most of them pretty well. Like I said, stealth picking. It's the way to go because you can't sit there and farm one spot because the chests won't respawn. And you learn how to get around everything and you learn where you can run and hide. So I've got, multiple stealth characters. First one I made my money on was my stealth picker. That's what allowed me to pay for everything else.
Let's go back to BB real quick. Where do you see Bearded Brothers headed on the server? Do you have any plans to help them achieve those goals?
Well, I honestly don't know where to go from here. We're, top 10 prestige for whatever that matters. Some people really care about it. I'm not an achievement hunter, so it doesn't affect me much. Just keep building, keep having fun, having nice people that are, good to people in the guild. I've started reaching out outside of the guild more because that's probably my weakest spot is I don't talk to people outside of the guild. I've tried getting more active in Discord, sometimes not in a good way. I've gotten involved in a few Discord PvP battles, but I try to spend more time in general or crafting and taming and answering questions that I know that I can answer. I've made a concerted effort to avoid going into PvP and talking. I'll go there to read what's being said, try to correct obvious untruths and lies, but I can't do all of that. I don't have enough hours in the day. If I could, stay up for 48 hours straight in a 24-hour period, I might have enough time to win those fights. So I'm not even going to try sometimes.
Yeah, most of them are unwinnable anyways.
Oh, for sure. But where are we going? Well, we're going to keep working towards getting our Omni Summon, frickin' mini tokens. And maybe we'll have it by the time this comes out. Maybe we won't. I know a lot of hate directed towards Sicario because of his... I don't even know how he does it. Just, he always seems to know where the minis are going to spawn. He's a machine. Straight up. But, good for him. I'm glad there's people like that can do that because I couldn't. I'm not smart enough for that.
I think I know how he's doing it. I mean, they have a timer window. And if you're always going in there and when the last one died, you kind of know when to check on him again. He's just dedicated to it, which you kind of
he's a machine.
Yeah.
And then, we're just going to keep doing what we do and leveling aspect, leveling characters. We've started getting more involved in the PvP scene. Annoyed a lot of the server, apparently, with our alliance with Sup, which came about because we needed PvP help. We're not a bunch of PvPers, much to some of our members' chagrins. And we got raided on a summon by a guild that we had pretty good relationships with through a couple of our officers. A few of our officers were on the fence about them. A few of them were pretty dead set against them, and they raided us. Got a lot of the gear out, a lot of the loot, including the token that they were after, because that was apparently one of the last tokens they needed for their book. And we got it out somehow. I'm not going to disclose that on this podcast.
I don't even know. I don't remember the story. I remember the event. I don't remember the token story, but go ahead.
Well, but we got a lot of the loot out, and I had a talk with that GM. I'm like, well, what's going on? And he goes, well, we needed the token. It's just pixels. Feel bad. Okay, well, if it's just pixels, then we need to do something to protect ourselves because what we're doing isn't working. Okay, so what can we do? We'd already been talking with Sup, yeah, they're a bunch of Discord PvPers. They really get riled up in there. Sometimes it's fun, but they're really laid back guys. Chief Swirling Air was on your podcast. I don't necessarily agree with everything he does, but it's not for me to say. It's not my guild. And so we associate with people that maybe aren't exactly the same as BB. Okay. It's 6-7 months into a server, 8 months now. Jeez. And we're going to do that. You got to do what you got to do to, progress in the end game. We could have stayed back and just, farm Cavern Am for hours on end, but that gets boring. We're going to lose people that way. They're going to want to go and kill bosses. This boss summon system has been amazing for us because we don't have a lot of our membership isn't on until afternoons and evenings. We've got a significant daytime crew, but probably not enough for most of the mains. They do a couple 6-man mains and have a lot of fun, and I'm jealous because I want that. But I got to settle for the 20-man mains. But the boss summons have been amazing for BB because we've got the farmers, and now we can go summon our bosses. And now we made an alliance with a guild to help provide the PvP backup, and they appreciate it, it seems. I mean, I'm not going to speak for them. They get a lot of PvP action out of it. We get our PVM, and then we can support them with the PVM while they've got their summons. And it's worked out really well for both of us. And as far as I know, most everyone's happy.
It's a unique relationship. We don't have the PvPers. They don't have the PVMers. It seems like a pretty mutually beneficial relationship. And we surprisingly get along well. Typically, when you have those two groups interact, there's a lot of butting of heads, but they're really laid back, and they're really cool. There's not really any kind of animosity stirring up immediately. And it's exactly what you said. Even though it seems like a awkward relationship at first, it's worked on our end. We don't control them. They don't control us, but it allows us both access to content better than we did before pursuing that relationship, so it is what it is. I think people are mad that they see BB as easily walked all over on, and now often we're not, whether that be through our own means and methods as it is in some bosses, or whether it's because of the, SUP doing what SUP does. And that's, I guess, made people upset, or, I don't know, made them want to bring us down. Is what it is, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, that's part of the fun. I know it seems like SUP's changed a little bit. I've run into bosses with them. They've got their red, I'm on my blue. We run by people on level 1, 2, even level 3. They walk right by them. And I don't know if they would have done that in the past. I never really had interactions other than Chiefs Rolling Air attacking our pets when we're out farming in groups of, 15, like we did. So, maybe they would have run by them. Maybe they wouldn't. Certain tags, they get dropped. I'm not going to say, good, bad, or indifferent. It's just there are some reputations out there, just like SUP has a reputation, BB has a reputation, everyone's got a reputation.
Yeah, right. And depending on that will probably affect their actions.
Oh, for sure. I mean, if they see, I'm going to pull a guild out of the air. If they see let's say a C2W, I just recently fought them on my PvP. It got destroyed by them because I'm awful at PvP. If it's a C2W guy, they're going to fight them because that's what C2W does. They're a PvP guild, and good for them. They enjoy that. I'm glad they enjoy that because everybody enjoys different things about these games, and that's the beauty of these games.
Yeah, the other prong to this recent success by Beard Brothers is definitely the summon system. When you think about it, while we have a lot of solo guys doing things, and we do have our evening groups, there's a peak playtime for us. We're very casual by nature. If you've listened to this podcast up to this point, you could tell that we're not full of elite guys out there doing things, so being able to pick when to go do that content when we're at our strongest, when all the kids are asleep, and then you're able to get on as a group and give us the best shot at tackling that content, and not on a set window that's randomly determined by by when the thing died and when it's going to be up again. Maybe 1 o'clock in the morning is not the best for us, or 6:50 during dinner, or whatever it was. This is on our own terms, and it does give you a little bit of security now the way custodians are working, because you could sometimes summon and zerg that thing down so quick and get loot out before anyone knows what the hell you did. That would be hard to do in the old system.
Oh, for sure. I hate those damn custodians because, like I said, my main was a stealth archer for a while, and those well, so is yours now. You've followed it,
Yep.
me and Wes. And, custodian sits there and reveals you, and it's like, okay, well, great. I've got 220 skill points wasted that I could have been using for healing instead of being a glass cannon. Okay, great. And Luthien disabled him for a while, and then everyone had cams in all the boss rooms. There's, 20 cams in every room. I'm exaggerating a lot, but, 3 to 5 cams everywhere watching for summons. That's no fun. Besides, who wants to sit there and watch a camera? I just don't understand it.
Yeah, and the meta has shifted a little bit now because people are getting main tokens just fine with the summon system. Even if you get rated, usually you get enough through to get the tokens you need. But the minis are open to the whole server. Currently there's no summon system. Whether that system stays as it is now, but currently you can't summon them, so you have to fight over the server with them, and that's where you see a lot of these rivalries form between the LODs and the Rex and the whichever guild is currently after that mini token.
Yeah, and I honestly hate that. I really enjoy some of those mini fights in a group of 3 to 5 people. It's challenging. I'm after challenging content personally. If I could, king for a day and damn the consequences, I'd love to see a system where the first guild that has 5 people in a mini room, those 5 are doing it. And, if you wipe, then someone else gets a chance to come in and take over. And, all the PvP happens outside to get the next 5 lined up. And you've got to have 5 really good players go in there and fight it. And maybe you put a timer on it or something. Obviously, that's not going to happen because that's not the UO way. It's not the UO system. So I'm not going to say to do that. But I like challenging content personally. That's why I hate bards as a character for myself, because it's like, oh, peace and auto swing for 6 hours while I kill this demon. No, I don't like that. One of the most fun things I've done, I went and pulled a Fen Demon on my parry Dexxer. No aspect, not even 90 skills. Took me half an hour to kill it because I'm awful at this game, but I kited him around houses and everything else, eventually killed him, and got 400 gold. Was it a good use of my time? No.
Yeah, probably not.
No, not at all. I could have made many times over that. But it was fun. Jousting back and forth, trying to heal. Is this flame strike going to kill me this time, or am I high enough in health? Is my resist going to come through? That stuff's fun to me. I'm a GM of the biggest PVM Zerg guild, whatever. That's a function of the server and function of the way everything works. Because if you take 10 minutes to kill a mini boss or 20 minutes to kill a main boss, you're going to get raided. You're going to lose everything, and you're not going to get anything out of it. But that's what's fun to me.
Yeah, you got to look at it too. It takes a lot to summon that boss. Your guys have farmed 1 million gold, which I don't know that I've earned on one character. Maybe across multiple characters I've earned it. I doubt it. Maybe if I sold all my shit.
I actually just got that achievement for the 1 million gold looted, and it's like, really? Where did it all go? And then I realized, 4 blessed rune books, aspect suits on 6 different characters. Yeah, okay, that's where it went.
Yep. Yeah, there's never you can spend your money on endless. Like, I want a shelf. I want a bigger house. Yeah, there's lots of goals here.
Don't worry about the bigger house. Get that shelf. It's that's my number one tip for people that have, they've started establishing themselves, is to get a shelf. I put it off for a while, and it's downright amazing.
Yeah, I think I'm going to get that 350K house, I think, and probably just stop there, get a shelf in it, be good to go.
Yeah, I mean, I've got space blocked off with a 150 and a 50 for about 4 million worth of house, 26, 28 secure, something insane. The only way I'm going to ever see that is if I buy the shard off of Owen after it closes down and play Ultima offline.
Yeah. Yeah, he'll probably give you the server code at some point, I guess.
I'll give them five loonies or whatever or toonies, whatever the dollar system is up there in Canada.
All right, let's do some of these comedic questions. I know we got a couple of them. Let's see here. What are the characteristics of a player who could be entrusted with the future of the guild? Chronicler.
All right, so it depends on the guild. I'm not gonna. If it's a crafting guild, you need someone that's willing to. I saw this in Prev, the Stratus. He sent out he gave missions to people. Here, if you go farm X, I'm going to give you Y gold. And it was vastly more than the server cost was. But he made it fun for his guys. And that's awesome. If it's a PvP guild, the GM needs to be either needs to be a good caller or needs to recognize that they're not a good caller and can delegate that to someone who is. I'm not a caller, so I'm not going to be the one doing it. Ultimately, you need someone
to offload your responsibilities a little bit.
Yeah, it needs to be someone that recognizes their limitations, their strengths, and know who they can trust to reach out to for help. And they need to have that core background of guys. Now, maybe I'm different. Some people are going to have the 18 hours a day that they can play for whatever reason. Why ever they can play, whatever. And they're going to be able to do everything. And great for them. But you got to know what your limits are.
So I went back to my message in February 2004. And I said, I asked 3 questions. This is how I picked who we would swear fealty to, or at least narrow down our choices. Are you willing to take on the GM position and lead Beard Brothers? So the very first question is, are you even willing to do this crazy task?
Oh, that's important. If you don't want to do it, why even bother trying to do it?
What do you see as a future of Beard Brothers, and any ideas of how to get us there? So I wanted to see, what the direction was, and did you have a plan to get us there? And then what do you see as some of the immediate priorities, any ideas on how to tackle them? So do you recognize what the current problems are, and do you have any ideas on how to solve them? It's pretty simple. And the biggest one was almost really, were you willing to take on the responsibility, which is a tough one, because even a large group like us, there's only so many that would even want the job, and then also once they have the job, are they going to buckle under the pressure of 100 DMs a day and whiny players and issues to solve and outside issues and
people trying to destroy the guild from the outside, people that may or may not be upset inside, people that are having misunderstandings inside. Oh, it's nonstop. But I'm just still trying to figure out how I can write this on my resume so I can take credit for it as supervisor experience, because it's got to be there.
Yeah, it's for sure there. You just need a future employer that values it.
I just got to find someone smart enough to write it the right way, because I'm not. I'm freaking dumb about it.
We've addressed this next question a little bit, but when did BB ditch the no griefing principles? Black Dragon. I know Black Dragon. He's interacted with podcast a little bit. I think he's a treasure map guy.
So I don't think we've ditched no griefing principles. The way I look at it, if it's our summoned boss that our guys farmed, my guys, our guys, the guild's guys, that's ours. If it's a random spawn boss, everyone's going to be fighting over it. Outside of bosses, though, like I said, I just kicked a guy last week for griefing. That's just straight up not happening. For those that are listening to this podcast, the best way to help me find the griefers, instead of just saying, well, BB griefed me. Okay, great. Pictures, screenshots, videos. Videos are amazing. I know not everyone streams all the time and not everyone's recording all the time, but screenshots, just if you've got Windows 10 down in the search bar, type snip and you can snip tool anything you need.
Yeah, there's a new feature in Classic UO that you can turn on journal logging. It's under the speech options, and even that alone, you'll have a journal dump. I mean, that's easy to mess with, but it's something.
Yeah, it's easy to mess with. I could journal dump something that says Natural said to go fuck my mother or whatever. That's not going to... But screenshots of the journal, ideally in colors that I can see, because that journal is awful. It's better in CUO, but it's awful in the normal client. But, you need to be able to... evidence, proof. If you're some guy... and it's my guy's word against your word, I'm going to make a mental note. I've got a Discord channel there where I take notes, actually, because I don't have a memory to remember things. And I've got a whole Discord channel where I just keep notes on people. Hey, this happened. Hey, this happened.
Well, and I'm going to 2 or 3 notes on somebody. That's more evidence than the one really good one.
Yeah, exactly. And circumstantial evidence builds up. I talk to the person. We had one person, I'm probably misremembering this awfully, but they were doing something that wasn't exactly right. So we had a chat with them. Now they're one of our best members. That's
happened more than once.
Yeah.
People come to this game with 20 years of stuff, and they hear, Beard Brothers are active. They join us, they read the thing. Oh, yeah, I agree with the thing. And they go play UO, and then when you're in the shit, you have that 20 years of experience to go on, and sometimes we have to steer guys into what it means to be a beard brother, and people respond to that and leave, or people respond to that and just thrive. And we've had guys that have really been great guild members.
Oh yeah, old habits die hard. One of my favorite characters on OSI was a poison thief. I'd go up, steal your band-aids or your cure pots or your garlic. You'd attack me, I'd kill you. I'm not going to do that here. I mean, I know people that do, and more power to them. It's a fun way to play. But I'm not doing that here. There's a lot of different ways to play, obviously. I'm not here to shut anyone down. What happens on alts stays on alts with BB. If you're a well-known associated alt, then you're going to be tied to them. But if I don't know the alt, I don't know the alt.
Yeah, we even have a rule. I think if you have a well-known alt, then at events, don't do your thing.
I can't stand people that grief like player run events. That just drives me nuts. I think it was a Hig giveaway, and some guys came and firebombed it or something. Why? Hig's putting a lot of his time and effort into writing all these books and doing this event for fun. He's not getting anything out of it other than fun. Why are you going to try and ruin it for him?
Yeah, you can do that any time of day. Let the community event do its thing.
Yeah, BB's not a role-playing guild. Got it. We're going to treat the orcs like orcs. We're not going to sit there and res kill them. We're not going to sit there and dry loot them. After this was an Amir event, and we may have jumped the gun a little bit before the one orc group was set up completely and wiped them. Bunch of BB went gray resing them, and no one attacked us, and that's great. I want to res the orcs when that happens, and we're not going to loot them. It's just common sense. You got to keep... There's certain people that make this shard tick, Hig, the orcs, crafters. You don't mess with them. You help them out, you clean them up, Sure, they want to have fun and do their orc tribute things, and when I give them the 2 gems I have, because I haven't killed anything yet and forgot to sell the gems, and they look at me and go, oh, really? That's all you got? You're right, I don't have any more. Look at me.
We have sieges coming. I think there's no... we would like to see that content. I don't know that we have the player base to succeed there. We currently don't, but whether we mold and change in a couple months to do that kind of stuff, that's to be seen.
See, I wouldn't see the sieges as being a PK type of thing. It's consensual PvP.
If we've got people as our presence in factions. Yeah.
Yeah. We've got 2 or 3 people that do factions. We could probably get more, but we haven't made it a focus because I know I've got 3 hours a night max to play. I think you've got about 3 hours a night to play. Shadow has 3 hours a night to play, and he plays a couple hours in the afternoon. Yeah, we don't have people that are playing, 10 to 12 hours a day.
Yeah, I just think guilds are allowed to evolve as content players, members change, and the shard changes. So we're not where we were 6 months ago, and maybe we won't be in another 6 months. It's hard to tell.
Exactly. It's going to be, do I see us becoming a rampant red PK guild? No. Do I see us, having a couple of reds? Absolutely. We do now. I've got 2 from defending bosses, and it's going to stay that way just because it takes forever to macro counts off, and I'm not going to go and, I've got 7 counts on one and 5 on another. I'm not going to, do the repent for 72 hours just to go red again.
Our charter never said no reds in BB. That's not what it said.
That's correct.
So,
and besides, the king can make the rules. I could change it right now if I wanted to, if it did say that.
Right. Exactly. So, it's per our discretion.
Right.
I think we'll keep the spirit alive, as we have currently in the current state of the game.
Oh, for sure. We're not going to go out and clear, Ossuary 2 just because there's 5 blues there or whatever. They're having fun. Let them be.
Yeah. We'll move to a different dungeon or we'll out farm you. We'll do that.
That's my preferred method. I've done that many times. I've had people down in my favorite hunting spots and I go, okay. Well, let me see if you can keep up with me. And sometimes they can, and then I go somewhere else. Sometimes they can't, and they go somewhere else.
Last community question. It's a pretty good one. Of all the PvP guilds, who do you have the most respect for? Competency or style, and why?
That's a really good question because I don't know guilds very well. I know the big, wrecked, long. I know the guilds. I couldn't tell you who's in which guild at what time. Apparently there's people changing guilds now, and I know Sup really well because I see them the most. They're they're something else to me. They're coordinated. They're good at it. They know what they're doing. Wrecked. Little history here. We were allied to Wrecked for 27 hours maybe? Barely even a week or barely even a day. And some of the PvPers there, I really like them. Sir Bart, he doesn't play anymore. He apparently bought some, ranch somewhere and doing a bunch of renovations. Good for him. He's doing something outside. That's what happened to
Mind Trip, by the way. My former co-host, he bought a farm, was working to buy the farm, got the farm, and now he's got like 100 birds.
Well, good for him.
Yeah. Someday I'll have him back, but I don't know when. It keeps getting pushed back further and further.
Hey, real life comes first. I tell that to every single person in my guild. I've had a couple people, I feel bad I haven't been around because of this reason or that. Whatever. It's a game. I got over it. But Sir Bart, he and I dueled a lot at Corpse Creek when I got my PvPer off the ground because I hadn't played since '02. I don't remember how to do 7X Tank Mage. It's been forever for me. Last real UO PvP was, like I said, my Poison Thief, where I used a long spear, paralyzed you, stole your cure pots, and then laughed. Not exactly sporting, but, it's all about winning, sometimes not how you win. I'm not a duelist. I've never been a duelist. I'll 1v1 anyone and fall just the same. But he seemed to be really good about trying to teach people, and he was a little rough around the edges sometimes, but he wanted to teach. And he commanded a lot of respect, it seemed, and I liked him. And then, really, it's hard for me to say what guilds because they're all better than me. So it's hard for me to tell who's good and who's bad because I'm awful and they're at least better than me. Yeah. So what was it? Thursday night in Pulma. It was 85 accounts in there. Good God. And I'm sitting there. I died on two of my PvP characters. One of them's awful because it's a Nox mage. Stupid me. That's an awful character. Died on my archer mage. I'm like, I'm going to go on my stealth archer. I ended up getting 2 kills because I sat there and I waited and I sniped until someone was at like 20 health because they were running from something. And then I'd hide right away.
That's a great idea. So I need to do that on my stealth archer because I've always just don't bring in PvP. But hell, I could just sit in that chaotic gaggle and just pop out and drop guys.
Yeah, I realized later I still had my shadow aspect armor on with my Vank heavy. And I'm like, this probably wasn't the right idea coming into an area with 50 reds. But for whatever reason, they never found me. I was able to stealth away every time. And, mobs help.
All right, man. Well, I appreciate you coming on the podcast and making time to talk to me and kind of share the story of Beard Brothers and where you've taken them since, I guess, February now at this point. So that's over 4 months.
Yeah, I did a 3-month State of the Beard in middle of May, and I was a couple of weeks late. So yeah, we're about 4 months in now.
Yeah, time flies when we're having fun. That's for sure.
Oh, for sure. And just for an idea, in the hour and 10 minutes I've been doing this podcast, I've had 35 notifications.
I've had one say, you beat me. No, I've had 2.
Yeah, it's crazy.
You just need to start offloading that. Forward this to Shadow. Forward this to Kimchi. Forward this to Nat.
I already do. Something. Right. I like taking care of it, I want to be involved. I want to know what's going on. I want to know what people are thinking.
Yeah, no, I hear you. And you may be the best person to deal with any particular situation anyway. So, all right. So guys, head to our website, insideoutlands.com. You can join our Discord there, get updates, listen live, leave us and our guest feedback. We will occasionally do some live streams and I'll be using Grimscar87 and his Twitch. And I'll also ping the Discord for when those are going down. We're a little late this week. I'm going to try to keep on the 2-week schedule the best I can, but I've got a busy real life and sometimes I have issues scheduling with guests. But we'll keep these coming out every 2 weeks. I think I'm still working out who the next guest will be, so look forward to that. I've got a couple things in the pipe. I'm going to try to get a crafter, marketing focused player. I'm talking to a thief player I'd like to get on, and then maybe a future developer interview too, I think. So keep on our Discord and we'll get that info too when we got it. All right. Thanks everybody. See you all in 2 weeks.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you, sir.